Hi, my name is Carlos Olvera, and I'm a creative director and designer here at Wikipolítica Chihuahua, which is a grassroots movement that focuses on participation and human rights here in Chihuahua, Mexico. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing us to participate in this scholarship request, since there's a lot that we think that we can learn from you guys at IDEO, and we admire, personally I admire a lot of your work. And well, I hope that you get the chance to check us out in order to make your decision. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about Wikipolítica and what we do and what I try to do every day, working with all these people that give their time as volunteers to try and make change directly from the people, for the people here in Chihuahua. Wikipolítica has been going on for 4 years now, since 2016. It all started because a group of friends and me, we really wanted things to change, but we didn't know where to start. And this wish, this hope for things to change has been inside me for at least half my life. I'm 29 years old, and I started participating in different cultural, creative, and activist things and activities since I was around 17 years old. I decided to become a graphic designer, and I earned a sports scholarship. I used to be a tennis player, and I got a full ride at San Antonio, Texas, in the University of the Incarnate Word, where I got my graphic design degree, my undergrad. And I lived in the US for 4 years and a half, where I also volunteered in several student associations. One where we used to gather money and events. We used to do events to build schools in Africa. It was called Project Africa. And things got really hard here in Chihuahua back in 2008 when the war on drugs began. And in 2009, that was right when I got my scholarship and I left Chihuahua. But it was really hard for me since all my community, all my family, all my friends were still here. They're still here. Things got really violent and things got really hard in every way. Social, political, economical ways. Safety was really a thing, security. And while I was in the US, I got really aware about my privilege of being able to just leave my country and be somewhere that was safer. And also, I became aware of the great responsibility that I had just for being able to study, go to college, and study in one of the most powerful countries in the world, where back home, which wasn't really that far away, just 12 hours away in a drive car, people were dying and people were getting murdered and people were getting robbed. So while all this was going on, I was studying, and it was crazy to see how in 2012, when we got a new president, Enrique Peña Nieto, a lot of young people just went out to the streets to demand that the media stop lying to the people. And I was back home just stuck in my computer, watching everything from afar, wishing I could be there. But at the same time, I was safe and I was studying. And I would always wonder, how could my work improve people's lives? So that's a question that began back there. And it kept on me and is still on me today. I came back to Mexico in 2014 and I started my own graphic design studio with some friends. And we began doing a lot of commercial work and we started feeling real life, and just trying to figure out how to do work that was ethical and that really made an impact is what got me here. Since when I got back, the governor of the state was a really, really corrupt governor. He's still running, and he's wanted. Like he's still on the run. They say that he lives in Texas right now, but once he left, once he got off power, he had to run away from Chihuahua because he's being chased by the cops, right? So that happened right when I got back. When the change in powers came, I got asked by some activist friends to help them to do a campaign in order to get the PRI, which was a political party in power, to get it out and get any other party, just not the PRI. So we made this campaign and it worked out really, really cool. And we got a lot of impact. And we got a little bit better, but still things aren't as we used to know them back when I was a child. There's no safety. And so after that campaign, I figured out that's what I really wanted to do. So we had a group of people that was already just trying and questioning, how could we really change the way that things were happening here. So that's when we decided to create this group, Wikipolítica, which has its values and its principles based on the wiki, whatever wiki, all the wikis mean, which means that anyone can participate, as in Wikipedia, like anyone can participate, anyone can edit, and anyone can use this knowledge, the common knowledge, the shared knowledge, to make everything better. So that's how it all started, and none of us wanted to join any political party because they were all really, really corrupt, and but we really wanted to make change in the way that things were and decisions were being made. So that's how we got into citizen participation, and we believe to this day that anyone can participate and anyone's opinion and voice must be heard, no matter your age, no matter your sex, no matter your sexual preference, no matter your genre, no matter your race. We all, in order to get a real democracy, everyone has to have a voice, and we have to empower the powerless, since the powerless are the ones that are being most neglected by the system, and all these people in power are choosing and deciding only for their own benefit. So that's how this all started, and then we began trying to gather people of all kinds of different knowledge. So we have lawyers, we have engineers, we have I don't know, the political science people and internationalists and all these people that want to make change, but none of the political parties would represent what we really want to do. So that's how we began. And then once the one of Wikipolitica's biggest achievement and biggest fight has been trying to get the system to listen to us, to listen to the people. More than just, we don't believe that real change can happen through just going to the voting boxes every 6 years and then just letting things go through. Since our governors, our rulers, our decision makers decide whatever they want. Like once you put them there in power, they'll do whatever they want. And we come from a history of 70 years of the same party. And then when the change in parties came, it just seems like it got worse. That's when the war on drugs came through, no? And so at this point we've lost all faith on the traditional ways of changing things. So we've been inspired by a lot of social movements around the world, grassroots movements, and even movements in our own country that come from the original people here, the indigenous people that go back to their old system of doing things, and they rule themselves. They achieve this real democracy. So our fight has been for this participatory democracy where every person, every single one of us counts. But how do we get that if the law doesn't allow it? So that's when we began to fight for a participation law, and which this other older organizations had been fighting for years, and older people have been just working and fighting for a long time. And that's when we come and we inject this new way of doing things and sharing stuff through the internet and through our phones, through the web, with design, with creativity, just changing the dynamic. And so we began going through the Congress and just bringing our phones, just making a Facebook Live and just interviewing the Congress people and saying like, hey, why aren't you doing your job? If you're working on a participatory law, why aren't you allowing people to participate? And they would get really scared just because we had a few likes. And that's how people started even getting interested on this, because if you talk to people that don't usually are like involved about political things, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, the situation sucks, but it's never going to change. But once you start doing this with memes and you start doing it in a fun and fresh way, people are going to get interested. So that's how we started getting more and more people interested in whatever we had to say. So that engagement became social pressure for the legislators, I don't know if you say it, for the lawmakers to feel the pressure of the society pushing for change. So we made these different activities where you would film yourself with your phone and then you would call them and just ask them that you want the law. So we got people calling and their phones were blowing up, and they're not used to this. They're not used for regular people to just go up to them and demand. So after a year of fighting and a really long story, we got a law that has different tools for people to participate beyond the voting polls and like really have a channel where our own interests can be heard. So now we have tools like participatory budgeting. We have, for the first time, referendums and plebiscites. We have open city hall. We have public audiences and all these other tools where people can really participate and really be heard. So once we got this law, which that happened a year and a half ago, after a year of fighting, 6 months later, we found out that this company wanted to build a gas station facility in one of the three mountains, special like representative mountains here in our city that are in our city flag. So there are three mountains that represent our city. Two of them are already almost gone because they've been constructed on them, and the only one that we have left is virgin. And so they wanted to build this thing on this special reserve, and so we found out, and other organizations, ecological organizations, we got together with them and we went out to the streets to tell the people, and we started socializing and create this little campaign through social media. We got some signatures, and with the signatures we asked, for the first time, we activated this participation law that we had just passed, and we got the public audience, where in the public audience you get to debate and publicly with all these decision makers. So for the first time, our major and her team had to come out and speak to the people about what they were doing. And through this process, and us, we were researching, we noticed that the process of the gas station was corrupt. They were cheating. All the permits that they got, one of them was done in a corrupt way. So we showed this to the public, and they didn't have any choice left but to stop the construction. So we got there for like one of the first wins against this corrupt corporations, and in making team with the government. And then 4 months later, even bigger news came out saying that City Hall wants to change the whole lighting system of the whole city. And it doesn't sound that bad. The thing is that there were a lot of things really bad with that. First, there are some areas that don't have lighting, and they haven't fixed that, even though they've been in power for more than 3 years. And you could change or fix that without having to change all of the lights. And there's places, especially the rich places, that have really good lighting systems, and they still wanted to change them. But the worst thing of that, it was the amount of money that it was going to cost. We did our research, and it was at least 10 times way more expensive than it was needed. And because they would come out and tell people, no, it's going to be free. But the reality was that it was going to be like this really huge debt of more like 6,200 million pesos for 15 years. It was crazy. We tried to stop it before they passed it, but none of the decision makers listened to us. I mean, they read the project, and they didn't care. They sold us. They sold the people. So once that, and nobody knew, like this was just done like on the download. So once that project was allowed to be done, the only thing left was to ask for a plebiscite, a referendum, and to ask the people of the city if they really wanted this project or not. And this began a whole series of crazy events. Because first of all, we had to gather around 4,000 signatures, asking the people to see if they wanted to support a plebiscite, if they wanted to be asked. So once we asked for the signatures, for the 4,000 signatures, the plebiscite was allowed, and for a month we had they gave us 33 days to do this campaign in order to convince the people to come out and vote for the first time in the history of the country for a yes or a no if they wanted this project. And we didn't have money. We were all volunteers. But we managed to get more than 60,000 people to come out and vote. And the no won. What we did was, I was the director of communication and the campaign. So we created this identity for the movement, and it was not just Wikipolítica. We began it, but we had to join forces with a lot of people to make this happen. And the biggest obstacle was, one of the biggest obstacles was that we didn't have money, and the media, most of the media in Chihuahua was paid by the government, so we don't have really free press. So we had to find creative ways of getting to the people. We had to get stickers out. We had to go out and knock on people's houses and talk about the whole thing that was going on. And because the government was spending millions on ads through the radio, through the TV, just showing you like this super lighted city. And what did we do? Well, we got inspired by the plebiscite in Chile when they kicked out their dictator, Augusto Pinochet, which was a rainbow with an no on it. So we got inspired by that. We created our own news station where we would really go out to the city, check out what was wrong with it and why weren't they already taking care of it, and why would they want. We would explain people in easy ways with puppets and with different comedy ways of making people laugh and learn at the same time. We spent around $400 in Facebook ads and Instagram ads, doing this little video clips, and it worked. We went to the city, and we had to make this big homemade posters and just put them in the walls, and the police would take them out because, I mean, they're being paid by the city, and we couldn't afford any big ads in the, those big huge ads in the streets that the government was already paying for their own publicity. So thanks to friends, thanks to people, thanks to communities, thanks to shares, thanks to a lot of factors, more than 60,000 people went out and vote, and we convinced people that the power had always been ours. We just had to take it back. and go out and speak out. So that just happened 24th of November, and it was like a historical event. For Chihuahua is not a big city, and Chihuahua is known for being really conservative, but things have been really bad in the whole country for a while now, that we need this new kind of energy, and we need this new kind of activities for people to really believe, to make the change themselves, because not one single person is going to change the country, not one single person is going to change the city. It has to be from the people. It has to be from the bottom down, from the bottom top, sorry. So why am I telling you all this story? Because we've learned a lot through just trying to figure out how to do stuff. If it wasn't for a lot of what I've learned in my school and what I've learned in my own professional experience, a lot of things we've done for our community wouldn't have been done. But we're now come to a point where we need more, and things are still bad. No, we just defended ourselves, but we haven't really gotten to a point where people's lives are being improved. And I know that that's my mission, and I can change with my communication skills and our creativity as a group. But we still need more support. We need people to join, and it's hard. It's hard because how are you going to ask people to join when they're focused on surviving? And how are you going to make real change happen if there aren't the ways of participating? I think that only through creativity we can change the world, through new ways. And how are we going to change? We need to learn first, and that's why I've come to you to ask you for this scholarship, and to trust me and us that we can really, really, really use what you guys know to really make change, communicating and creating community, to really use our talents. Because, I mean, the world is in desperate need for change. There's all these issues that must be addressed. In the world, we have to start locally, on our own city. Issues that affect you, affect me, and affect us, and affect our community, and affect the whole world town. And inequality, the ecological crisis, LGBTQ rights, women's rights. Chihuahua is the capital of feminicides. Ciudad Juarez, which is the border town with El Paso, that is 3 hours away from us, is the capital of feminicides, and has been for a while now. And it's everything is connected. Corruption. And I truly believe that if we all wake up, we can change this, because there's more people that want and need real change. But the only way of waking everyone up is by touching their hearts and touching their souls. And the only way of doing that is communicating, expanding our message, and expanding what people in the rest of the world are doing, because that's what has inspired us to believe that we can do it, even though we were just 6-7 friends just trying to figure out what we could do. And 4 years later, we got more than 60,000 people to come out and vote. So I really believe that with your knowledge and our energy, and we can make this great combination to impact even more, because our stories have to be heard, but we need to get together. We need to study more. We need to learn, because what we've been doing here, no one else is doing here, and I don't personally know where else can I go and learn. Since I've thought about doing a master's degree and going somewhere else again, but right now I don't have the money, and I'm not an athlete anymore. Like, we don't get scholarships of that kind, and no more. My eligibility is out, and good thing we have the internet now, and good thing there's people like you sharing your knowledge. So I don't want to leave my city, because there's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility I feel that I have here, and the way of really expanding our knowledge is through you guys. So I'm sorry if it was really long. If you have any questions, or if you want to check out what we've been doing, you can check Wikipolítica Chihuahua in Facebook. That's where we have most of our public, and all of our videos are published there, and all of our stuff, what we've been doing. This is just a small part of what we do, and thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do, and I hope you guys stay safe during this coronavirus crisis. And I hope one last thing, we're actually right now working on a campaign of trying to get the government to stop making decisions in the dark. And ever since the coronavirus emergency got on, they stopped sharing the information of what they're doing. So right now our democracy is in crisis, and if people don't get to know what's going on, they can do any kind of decisions. If when we're in regular situations, they're still being corrupt, what would happen now that they have the permit of not showing the people and not transparenting what's happening, and they gotta let the people participate. So thank you, and good vibes. Paz y amor.